Hi, I'm Steve Rosen, station manager of WVLG Radio and VNN Television. Welcome to this year's Hurricane Preparedness Show, hosted by Mark Economo and TK Cross. We have some special guests and updated information to share with you, so please watch carefully and feel free to share this information with your neighbors. Or, if you'd like, invite them to watch VNN on Comcast Xfinity Channel 6, Centric Fiber Channel 70, thevillagesdailysun.com, the Villages Daily Sun app, or on YouTube at Villages News Network. For up-to-the-minute information, including 24/7 coverage, listen to WVLG on AM 640, FM 102.7 or 104.5, or you can stream your Villages soundtrack on the Villages app or the Villages Daily Sun app. The more you know, the safer you are, and that's the goal of the management and staff of both WVLG Radio and VNN Television. Have a safe yet enjoyable severe weather season here in Florida's friendliest hometown.
Now, the Villages Media Group's Hurricane Special, presented by the Baldwin Group on VNN.
Thanks, Steve. Hi, everyone. I'm Mark Economo.
And I'm TK Cross, host of the VNN Lifestyle News Show and one of the voices you hear on WVLG Radio. During this time of year, severe weather and hurricane season, we want to make sure you, our viewers, listeners, and readers of the Villages Daily Sun are prepared and kept up to date on severe weather situations as they develop. We thank our presenting sponsor, the Baldwin Group, for supporting these important messages and storm forecasts.
Throughout the show, you'll hear about the Villages Media Group's plans for all severe storm and or hurricane-related coverage this season and important tips to prepare and stay safe before, during, and after a severe weather event. You can revisit this special on the villagesdailysun.com or on our Villages News Network YouTube channel. This show is not designed to raise concern, but rather to raise the awareness of the best practices during a severe storm or hurricane. The National Hurricane Center is in Miami, and it's the official organization on storms and offers official weather watches and warnings. They provide official real-time alerts during a storm. I had the chance to talk with one of the center's meteorologists, Robbie Berg.
Let's start off about this year's upcoming hurricane season. We've seen some preliminary storm predictions that say it's going to be an active year. What are your thoughts on that?
As you know, it really doesn't matter if it's a slow or a busy season, that the state of Florida can be affected in all types of hurricane seasons. We've seen slow seasons such as 1992, the very infamous year where it was relatively slow, and yet South Florida got whacked by a Category 5 hurricane. The fact of the matter is we really shouldn't be fixated on the numbers themselves. Every year we need to be prepared for hurricane season.
Even though we're in north central Florida, inland, good 40 to 50 miles away from the coast due west, we saw last year, as you mentioned, Milton, that hurricanes can keep their strength as they come further inland. You know, years ago, it used to be like, well, once it hits the land, it deteriorates rapidly and loses strength. But we've seen over the last couple of years in Milton, because we got hit here in the Villages, was still a Category 1.
Yeah, so especially with Florida, is the land surface that here is rather flat. We don't have mountains, and so even though the friction does tend to make the winds decrease once landfall occurs, it takes a while in this state for those winds to come down. So yes, you can still see Category 1, if not more, stronger winds across portions of the state, even if you're 60 or so miles inland from the coast.
The new computer systems, the new models we've seen over the last couple of years seem to be really doing a terrific job in these storms. Last year, the couple of models kind of all came together on a number of the storms a lot earlier. How has technology helped you guys put out warnings and predict these storms in advance?
Yeah, it's helped immensely. I mean, in truth, there's no one model that's perfect, and models will change from storm to storm and from year to year. But one of the techniques that we use is called consensus modeling, where we take an average or different types of averaging of those models. And it's shown that when we do that sort of technique, our forecasts are better, and our forecasts are also more consistent. In other words, every 6 hours, you're not seeing a forecast that's jumping around north and then south and then east and then west. It's a more consistent forecast as you lead up to the storm. And that consistency really does put trust and faith in the forecast so that people know they should be preparing for the storm. So the technology has really helped us a lot. Also, the rapid intensification I talked about, we're seeing pretty good strides in forecasting those events before landfall because some of the models that we use to forecast that are becoming more skillful and at least showing us the signs that that might happen. They don't always nail the RI or the rapid intensification, but they're giving us more senses and signals that that could occur.
One of the other things that we face here on the West Coast is the way these storms come in is storm surge. And we saw the last couple of storms here in Florida, all the way from St. Pete and down further down toward Venice, and a couple of years ago down Fort Myers. These storm surges can be devastating.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like every storm on the west coast of Florida now is a big storm surge producer. And I think one of the fears we have is that while some people have been really impacted by that storm surge, there are others that really haven't gotten the worst of it yet. I mean, take a case like Milton. Obviously, we know it devastated the Sarasota areas and places south. If that storm had moved just 20 miles or so to the north, we would have seen all that surge get funneled into Tampa Bay, and it would have been a much different scenario. While the wind obviously was bad enough, the Tampa Bay area really did escape the worst storm surge damage. And so we just really want people to understand that you can't compare what you saw last year to any other year to what a new storm may do. It's very precise and always just depends on where that storm actually makes landfall.
Thank you very much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Berg says they believe one of the reasons we're seeing bigger and stronger storms is because of the rising temperatures of ocean waters.
During a storm, first responders sometimes risk their lives to save others. Chief Twist from the Villages Public Safety Department says it helps them if residents are prepared for the upcoming season.
My message would be exactly that. Prepare. Prepare for the worst and hope for the best. We have guidelines where we have to come off the road at when winds hit a certain speed, so we can't get to you until the storm's passed. That's why we want you to prepare. We want you to be able to be self-sufficient for a little while until we can get back out there and start helping you. And that's when we ask for people to, after the storm, to stay inside until, and you saw with the district, I mean, they get roads and stuff cleared very quickly, but we need you to stay off the roads until we can get that stuff cleared.
And remember, during a storm, please only call 911 if it's an actual emergency. This is so you don't tie up the lines for someone who may truly need medical or life-saving help. Once the storm has passed, emergency responders can be overwhelmed with calls. It's a good thing that we here in the Villages have the Citizens Emergency Response Team, or CERT, who are ready to help out whenever and wherever they can.
CERT is a volunteer service organization. We're kind of a force multiplier for the Villages Public Safety Department, so we're kind of an adjunct to them. Our main goal is to help in gray skies, if you will, after a hurricane, after a tornado. But in non-gray skies, when things are going well, we help do first aid at the squares, we can do wellness checks, and we actually have a new team called the First In Assessment Team, and what we do is we go out with Community Watch, and we're able to navigate every street in the Villages and assess damage so the fire department can get out to the most important calls, and we were actually able to do that twice last year after both of those hurricanes and assess damage so they could get to the highest priority calls. You don't want to get in their way. They want you to stay home. We always say your biggest responsibility is to yourself first, your safety, then your families, then your neighbors. So make sure you're safe, your family's safe, and then help your immediate neighbors.
If you'd like to volunteer with CERT, you can visit their website, certaofthevillages.org.
One of the biggest concerns during a hurricane is power outages. Locally, Seco Electric is working hard to minimize the effects of a storm by always preparing ahead of time.
Right after our storm season ends, from last year, we have had post-storm debriefs, after action, lessons learned, and we've started this year enacting those lessons learned, updating our plans, getting ready for this year's season. We have different modes. We pull out our storm plan, our response plan. We start reviewing those, start looking at the what crew needs we need, resource needs, supplies, and start preparing for that storm and start forecasting what impact we might have with those storms. Our limit is 35 miles an hour sustained winds. We do not allow our line techs to fly buckets above that wind speed, and we start bringing crews back in after that.
Dawson also wants to remind everyone that if you see a power line on the ground, assume it's live and don't touch it.
Please remember when using a generator to keep it properly vented and away from other flammable materials. If a small generator is used, keep only the most important items charging or in use, such as charging your phone or powering a medically related device. Fully charged portable battery packs or power banks are always a good addition to your electronics. As always, in case of a fire or medical emergency, please call 911, but only for a fire or medical emergency. WVLG will do its very best to share road closings, outages, flooding, and storm-related information with you as soon as we can, non-stop throughout the storm.
We'll be back with more, but first let's check out this year's storm names. You're watching VNN's 2025 Storm Preparedness Special.
Severe weather season brings with it a number of different considerations. Here's Mark Economo.
When gathering your storm supplies, make sure you have copies of personal documents, including medication lists, medical information, passports, birth certificates, driver's licenses, and insurance policies. Also, make sure to have extra cash if the power is out. ATMs and credit card machines won't work.
Your village's soundtrack, WVLG, VNN, and the Baldwin Group have you covered all severe weather season long. Stay tuned for information when severe weather approaches.
Welcome back to VNN's 2025 Storm Preparedness Special. Lots of great information shared so far in the show, with more on the way.
Flooding is always a hazard during a storm, not just the roads, but perhaps your home too. Here are the addresses to pick up sandbags.
Here in the Villages, recreation is a way of life, but behind the scenes officials are always planning for if and when a storm approaches. VNN's Whit Watson has more.
120 recreation centers, 118 pools, countless courts for pickleball and tennis and bocce. When the storm approaches, it really does take a village, all hands on deck, to protect your recreational facilities.
Yeah, you know, we need a good 72 hours from when we think it's going to make landfall. And as you know, storms, like all of us, have their own personality. They move and shake and change directions, but we take that data and that information and we plan on that. So we need time to secure the facilities. And I think, you know, if you're from other parts of the state, you know, it's a blessing and a curse. Nobody wants to deal with a hurricane or a storm, but when you're dealing with a storm, you have that time to prepare. And so when it's a nice, clear, calm day out, that's when we want to take advantage of closing down the facilities, not when the storm is making landfall, where we're dealing with the wind and the debris and all those other issues that could be a factor in it. So I think the important thing is for residents of the community to know that when the storm is on its way, we want to get out there and secure everything as quickly and safely as possible. And that may create some inconveniences knowing that, hey, it's clear out, why are we doing this? But we have to close down hundreds and thousands of areas, the squares, the rec centers, the courts, the swimming pools, so there's lots of people power involved to get that taken care of. But yeah, we want to do it when we have a window of safe weather to do that. We work closely with our EMS folks, the emergency management folks on that, and so we want to make sure the facilities, first and foremost, are safe to open for the residents to get back their use. So we have to inspect the pools. We have to make sure the pool water is safe to swim in. We got to make sure there's no debris in the pool. We've got to make sure there's no issues with the courts. So we have to do what we call a 360 safety inspection. We have to get boots on the ground to physically inspect that. But also, in case if there's a FEMA funding event, there's protocol and procedures we have to do for paperwork. And so we need the time to go out there and inspect the facility, make sure that we're doing our part procedurally and according to our policy and emergency management plan as to get it ready to open and safely open for people. So I'm glad you brought that up. It does take time. And so some facilities may be all clear to open, and some will be shut down for a while. So it's going to vary. But the good thing is, thanks to technology with our website and having email, is that we are constantly sharing that communication out to the residents. So I think the takeaway to our residents is make sure they sign up for the e-notifications and all the updates, because we will send those out in a timely, strategic manner. We get on WVLG, the Villages Daily Sun, the website. So we use multiple communication platforms to share those updates. But the main thing is for residents to stay safe in their home until we've given the all clear, especially our public safety folks, because we want to get out there if there's any debris on the roads. We got to get out there and clear the roads, get trees off the roads, get the multimodal paths cleared out, because if an incident happens, then it takes those resources away from doing their thing, and they have to go address that emergency situation. So safety is paramount for our residents. The main thing is our residents are very educated and tuned in to storms and all the resources they have available. But patience is helpful, because it allows us to get our staff, they have to come in from work, from their family and homes to get here and secure those facilities. So it's a collaborative effort all the way across the board.
Now remember to keep it on your Villages soundtrack, WVLG. Once the storm has passed, we'll let you know when it's safe to head back outside and take advantage of all of these terrific recreational facilities. For VNN, I'm Whit Watson.
We'll be back with more after this short break.
Severe weather season brings with it a number of different considerations. Here's Mark Economo.
When gathering your hurricane storm supplies, make sure you have a 3-day supply of drinking water equal to 1 gallon per person per day. Also have a 3-day supply of easy-to-prepare food consisting of non-perishables, and make sure to have a hand-operated can opener.
Your Villages soundtrack, WVLG, VNN, and the Baldwin Group have you covered all severe weather season long. Stay tuned for information when severe weather approaches.
Welcome back. Here in the Villages, we enjoy the ease and freedom to get around that the golf cart community offers. But after a storm, some of these multimodal paths and tunnels could experience debris and high water.
From a common sense standpoint, the golf cart tunnels will most likely be flooded at various levels, and the roads and multimodal paths will have palm fronds and other debris scattered about. Please don't take any chances. The Villages team will clear all debris as soon as it's safe for them to proceed. Now, taking your pets for a walk in 40-plus mile-an-hour winds and heavy rain isn't safe for either one of you. Your pet may be frightened and bolt on you. A severe storm or hurricane is not the time to be out looking for a lost pet. And please remember, in addition to you and your fur babies, our local wildlife will be experiencing severe conditions. Alligators, coyotes, and the like may be on the move. Sounds basic, but you'd be surprised how many folks don't think of that, especially if you're new to the area or experiencing hurricane season for the first time. Preparation is key, so calmness and common sense can reign, no pun intended.
One of the groups that is active before, during, and after a storm is the Florida Department of Emergency Management. The department is responsible for disaster preparedness, response, and recovery in Florida.
The number one thing is please listen to the officials, your local emergency management officials. Listen to them. They are the ones that are going to be able to tell you what roads are open, what roads aren't open, etc. Just driving around to look at the damage, while it might be great because everybody, no one wants to be keyed up inside for too long, but the roads may not be safe. Emergency response is out looking and assessing at roads and assessing situations, whether it's infrastructure, etc. Give them time to get through it, and then when the all clear is given by emergency management officials, then please, by all means, carry on with whatever you need to do. FloridaDisaster.org is the state website to go to. Make a plan, get a plan. Our big motto is halfway there, halfway full, halfway there. Don't be one of the ones that run into a gas station and fully fuel up. As long as you can go ahead and get halfway there, meaning if you have to evacuate, you don't have to go up to Georgia or North Carolina or South Carolina like you used to. You just need to push inland. But the villages are really enough inland where coastal flooding is not really a problem here. But still making sure if a power goes out, make sure your medications are full. Make sure you have enough water. Make sure that you have enough, that you have a good family plan of what's you need to do.
You can get more information at FloridaDisaster.org.
We all know that entertainment is the staple here in the villages, from nightly music on the squares to concerts, comedians and more at the Tracy, the Savannah, and the Sharon. And as VNN's Whit Watson tells us, safety is their number one concern.
When you're looking for nightly entertainment at the villages, you know exactly where to go, right? Come find one of the town squares. When the storm is approaching, we at Villages Entertainment have one thing in mind every day, and that's your safety.
So, first of all, we're watching weather 24/7, lots of internal discussions, lots of internal meetings, lots of discussions with other divisions. What are they doing? We do try to make a coordinated effort across every division within the villages. We don't want some places closing, some places choosing to stay open. So we all work together, share our information that we have, and then make a group decision, frankly, So we'll all coordinate and say, all right, entertainment's doing this, golf's doing that, recreation's doing this other thing. We all work together with that. But we are watching the weather 24/7, regardless if it's hurricane season or not. But especially during hurricane season, we're watching that even more closely. And we do try to keep open as much as we possibly can. But once it becomes a safety issue, that's when it does not matter. Safety comes first. Once the storm has passed, several different people will go through and walk every single square, make sure it is safe, make sure debris is taken care of before we even consider reopening. Then we have to check things like power, right? Make sure all our equipment is working so that we actually can operate that evening. Once we get all the green lights, then we're reopening. Safety first, always. That's how we operate. That's how everyone should operate. We want to stay open as much as we possibly can, but always pay attention to our website, thevillages.com, WVLG, and even the Daily Sun for more periodic updates as you need them. We are going to tell you exactly what we're doing and how we're going to do it, and we want to be closed as short as possible.
Now remember, keep it on your Villages soundtrack, WVLG. We'll let you know when things are reopening and when it's safe to go back out and live that active Villages lifestyle once again. For VNN, I'm Whit Watson.
Now, there's normally as much information to share after the storm passes as there is before and during the storm. Our team will be gathering and sharing information as it comes into the Daily Sun and VNN newsrooms, along with WVLG's studio, streamlining the information flow for one source reference point, including the aftermath, but also including reopenings, safe passages, and any disaster relief and/or insurance-related information you need to know.
The Villages Media Group's Hurricane Special, presented by the Baldwin Group, will return after the break. You're watching VNN. Severe weather season brings with it a number of different considerations. Here's Mark Economo.
When gathering your storm supplies, remember to have at least 2 battery-operated LED flashlights with extra batteries. Check and restock your first aid kit, and make sure you have a 7-day supply of prescription medication, extra glasses, walking aids, and stock up on personal hygiene and sanitation items.
Your Village's soundtrack, WVLG, VNN, and the Baldwin Group have you covered all severe weather season long. Stay tuned for information when severe weather approaches.
Our staff of WVLG broadcasters and Daily Sun newsroom reporters are ready to present up-to-the-minute information that can affect your village's lifestyle. Along with our primary studio at Lake Sumter Landing, we also have a backup studio in a hurricane-safe environment, complete with large, long-lived generators with full capabilities, allowing us to stay on the air and share information with you. We have a select team ready, willing, and able to broadcast in marathon style until all is safe and normalcy returns.
That said, you'll hear music being played on WVLG during severe weather while we work diligently behind the scenes to gather and coordinate updates to pass on to you.
Again, keep watching VNN for these tips and interviews. This show will repeat as severe weather is forecast, and be listening to your village's soundtrack, WVLG, for up-to-the-minute information during hurricane season, presented by the Baldwin Group.
Thanks for watching. Be safe and be prepared. Take care.
Thank you for watching the Villages Media Group's Hurricane Special, presented by the Baldwin Group on VNN.